living abroad, you learn to live with cultural differences. I've been in France for close to 6 years, and I've managed to deal with most of the cultural differences in a way that feels good to me. But there's one that still really annoys me and actually has gotten worse over the years. In this video, I'm going to share with you what that one cultural difference is and how I am learning to work through it now, and give you a process, a 4-step process to help you work through challenging cultural differences or things that rise up in you that trigger you and cause you to show up in a way that you would like not to. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are already a subscriber, thank you. If you are new here, welcome. Every week I post a video about moving abroad, life in France, or finding the confidence and courage to live life on your terms. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you'll be alerted each time I upload a video. I'm Patricia Brooks, and in 2018, I left my job in Richmond, Virginia, and the United States, and I moved to the south of France. And it has been an amazing experience, and it's been filled with ups and downs. One of the things that has taken some time to get adjusted to is cultural differences, but I have managed to do that. I've learned to say bonjour before I ask a question. I have learned that, oh, Patricia, you need to time your days so that you aren't heading out to the post office at lunchtime because they close at lunchtime. I've gotten used to the store hours. Things of that nature I have managed to work through. But there's one cultural difference that has really put me in a state of anxiety. And that one has to do with personal space. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you probably have seen me talk about this and seen me go like, about this. And it's not something that I'm proud of. I know when I first got to France, I noticed that there was smaller personal space here. I was standing in the line at the grocery store the first time I went, and I noticed that somebody was right on my back, so I scooched up a little bit. They scooched up too. And I thought it was unusual. I thought it was curious, but that's what it was. It was just that. It wasn't anything that I had deeply charged negative emotion around. But as the years passed, that lack of personal space seemed to have grown into something that created anxiety for me when I was standing in line at a grocery store. And I go to the grocery store twice a week. And so it was not a pleasant experience. But now, about 3 weeks ago, I found a way to cope with that. And I'm going to share that with you right now. I was watching an Esther Hicks video. I don't know if you're familiar with her and Abraham. She helps people work through challenges in their lives. And people ask questions and she responds to them, or she responds to them by channeling Abraham. At any rate, in one video, there was a woman who says, this is a really silly thing, but I can't understand why I keep seeing so many people spitting in the streets. It's so disgusting. And I don't really want to see it. And Esther asked the woman, why don't you like that? Well, it's gross. People might step in that. And then Esther asked, well, but beyond that, what does that represent for you? And it came out that this woman felt like it was disrespectful, a disrespectful act. And when the woman said, you disrespect, I had this aha moment that was like really strong. It took me back to my coach training days when I was learning to become a coach, and we went through our core values. And respect was really high on my list. And it made me think about my situation at the grocery store and this lack of personal space. What did that represent for me? It represented my being disrespected. And over the course of time, over the course of 5 years, close to 6 years, that lack of respect that I have been labeling it as has grown into this thing that creates anxiety for me. Now, I know that a smaller personal space is something that is a cultural difference here in France and in most of Europe. And I know that it is not done intentionally to be disrespectful or rude to me. But before I had this aha that my anxiety or my anxiousness or my annoyance in the beginning was tied to this idea that, oh yeah, this represents disrespect, and respect is a high value for me, so you're trampling on my value. I didn't get that. I didn't realize that. But once I was aware of that, I could say, oh yeah, Patricia, it's just a cultural difference. They're not doing it to be disrespectful. So that helped to kind of loosen things. But that very same day that I saw that video, I also heard an affirmation that stood out to me. And it was, I love and respect myself, and I attract others who love and respect me as well. Okay? Right there was like, oh, I like that. That feels good. It made me feel like I had space inside myself. Like I was respecting myself, and that was good enough. And then others would respect me anyway. So later that day was grocery store day. So I headed to the grocery store and I said, okay, I was saying this affirmation in my head before I got to the grocery store, before I went into the grocery store, as I was standing in line in the grocery store. I was recognizing that, this personal space thing is not personal. And so I got in line, got my things at the Lidl, got in line, and somebody got in line behind me. They had a long cart, so there was a distance between us. And I put my things on the counter, and I moved up, and the person behind me moved up, but we had the cart between us. And it was a couple, and the woman did not decide she was going to come to the front of the cart, as sometimes couples do, to unload their groceries. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's different. That feels good. Yeah, I didn't feel like my space was encroached upon. I thought, it's just one example, that's just probably a fluke. It's probably nothing to this thing about, this affirmation and my recognizing this and kind of changing my energy here. So I went on to Carrefour because I needed a couple of things from there that I couldn't find at Lidl. And the parking lot was packed. And I almost drove out of the parking lot because I'm like, Patricia, it's going to be a madhouse. It's going to be cramped. You're not going to feel very comfortable. I'm like, no, Patricia, go in. You need those things. So I went in, and at the checkout counters, it was mobbed. I was like, I don't know what's going on today, but I said, you need these things. Get the things, and you'll be fine. So I was saying my affirmation to myself as I was walking down the aisle, as I was standing in line. I was at the express line. I got in line, a couple people ahead of me, and the first person gets checked out. We move up. Nobody comes behind me. The second person checks out. We move up. Nobody comes behind me. The next person checks out. I move up. Nobody behind me. So I check out, and nobody was behind me. I thought, twice in one day? Is it a fluke, or is there something to this idea that I was emitting energy that was causing my own anxiety, that I was emitting energy that was maybe causing people to want to be close to me? Now, I think that's interesting. This all has to do with the law of attraction. Maybe you believe it, maybe you don't, but I think there is something to it. And so I want to give you 4 things that you can do, 4 steps you can take if you're feeling like you've got a pet peeve that seems to be happening to you over and over again, and that you would like it not to, or that you would like to feel differently about it when it happens. So first thing that you can do is ask yourself, what is the thing that is bothering me, and how does that show up for me? What emotion comes up for me when I am feeling this trigger? For me, it was annoyance initially that turned to anxiety, right? And then you can ask yourself, go a little deeper, ask yourself, and what does this represent? What does this act represent to me? What value is it encroaching upon or trampling on? For me, the core value was respect. And respect is really important to me. And then the third thing you can do is recognize that this situation and the way that you've characterized it is your interpretation of the situation. The person who is spitting on the sidewalk, or is right behind you in line at the grocery store, or hasn't picked up the dog poop on the street, or is always late, is not doing this to piss you off, right? That's your interpretation of it. And then Just add an affirmation. For me, the affirmation was, I love and respect myself, and I attract others who love and respect me as well. Right? And that feels really good. For you, you can fill in the blanks. I blank myself, and I attract others who blank me as well. Now, that sounds horrible, so keep it clean. Don't put any curse words in there. But once you have something that feels good to you, that gives you space, that makes you feel a little bit more relaxed around the situation, then use it before the situation, during the situation. And see if you don't have a shift in energy. See if you experience that situation differently. Now, I know it's a little woo-woo, but I truly believe in it because years ago when I was in Richmond, I'd go on morning walks. There was this woman who would walk and we'd pass each other 2 or 3 times a week. And she was a hard done-by person. She had this exterior, this hard exterior. She was just angry, seemed angry. And I would pass her, and every time I'd pass her, I just wouldn't want to pass her. I'd see her, and I'm like, oh, there she is, and I tense up. So one day I'm listening to this self-help book, and I see the woman, and I'm like, oh, there she is. I tense up, and I pass her, and as I get past her, I'm still feeling tensed. I'm still feeling, there's this bad energy. 3 minutes later, in this audio book I'm listening to, it talks about how to deal with energy exchange and how not to catch somebody else's energy. And the trick was not to tense up. It was to be relaxed and allow the energy to flow through you so it doesn't have anything to grab onto. I'm like, damn, I failed that test. So I said, okay, well, lesson learned. I'll do that next time I see her. Well, the next time I saw her was in about 10 minutes because she was doing laps. And so I saw her in the distance. I'm like, okay, there she is. And I felt even better about it because I was like, here, I get to try this thing out. And as we approach each other, I am taking deep breaths. I am saying peace and love to myself and trying to stay as relaxed as possible. I pass her. She passes me. As I'm past her, I don't feel that tension, that heaviness that I felt the first time. I was like, oh, there's something to this. Right. And so that was years ago, and I've had other experiences of that since. So that is why I kind of have a belief in this sort of thing. But try it out for yourself and see if those steps don't help loosen things. See if that doesn't change the way you're experiencing this situation. See if that doesn't change if you experience that situation less. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. Have you experienced a situation where you felt like you picked up somebody else's energy? Let me know in the comments. So when I first arrived in France in 2018, I was on top of the world for 2 weeks, and then reality hit that I had quit my job, that I moved to a place where I knew no one. And the self-doubt started to come in. And I thought, oh, Patricia, was this such a smart thing to do? To quit your job, to move to where you know nobody, where they speak a foreign language. And it really started to get into my head. And I realized that that was not how I wanted to experience my life in France. So I decided that I was going to coach myself. I'd been through coach training 3 years earlier, and I had some tools to use to kind of move through those feelings. And I did. But it was a constant battle back and forth. One day I was up, next day I was down, and I'd have to kind of pull myself back out and say, no, you did the right thing. This is where you're supposed to be. But it was hard, and it was hard to do it all alone, which is why I decided that I was going to start the Carefree Expat Incubator Program to help single women who wanted to make a move abroad, but who had doubts about whether it was even possible in the first place, to help them once they made their move abroad so that they wouldn't have to go through what I went through in my first year. And so that is a program that I have been doing for a couple of years now, and I've had really good success with the women in the program. If that sounds like something that could help you to move your dream of moving abroad forward, then check out the link in the description, schedule time for us to talk so that I can share more about the program with you. I can learn more about your plans to move abroad, and we can see if working together makes sense. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. share it with friends, subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.